Hi there! Welcome to Boy Meets Quilt. I'm Andrew Vay Hansen, and this is my next video in my virtual trunk show. Now, unfortunately for this video, I no longer possess the quilt that I made. It was a gift. It was a baby gift. It's, I believe, the only time I've gifted a quilt to a baby. But probably not the last time. We'll see. Anyway, this quilt came about thanks to the Brooklyn Quilters Guild, of which I'm a member. And we do blocks of the month raffles. So if you're not familiar, basically whoever's in charge of the raffle will create a block and send it out to all the members, who then make their block and bring it into the meeting, and there's a raffle, and whoever wins the raffle wins all of the blocks, and you can make a quilt out of all those blocks. And it's a really great way to learn some new techniques, to just do some sewing throughout the month if you are in between projects, and also a great way to suddenly have enough blocks to make an entire quilt. And the blocks are always very fun and beautiful. And so, in this particular month, our meeting happened to coincide with one of the big quilting retreats that most of our members went on. I think there was maybe some nasty weather that day. Anyway, it turns out only myself and one other guild member entered the raffle. And then the people who created the blocks had also put in 3 blocks of their own. So there was a total of 5 blocks to win, and there was a 50-50 chance that I would win. And sure enough, that is the one block of the month raffle that I have won at the Brooklyn Quilters Guild. So I got 5 of these Chevron blocks. And they're really cool blocks, they're really easy to make, but that said, I really didn't want to just make a whole bunch of my own Chevron blocks to make a whole quilt. Now, I could have made a few and put them together for a throw pillow or something like that, but instead, I kind of did a little whining and reached out to the guild membership and asked anyone who was on the retreat, who didn't come to the October meeting, if they wanted to make an extra block for the November meeting, please bring me blocks. And the response was very enthusiastic. I received some beautiful blocks at the November meeting. And then in addition, for the December meeting, we were making this flower block where the scraps ended up being 4 half-square triangles, which I realized could be made into mini Chevron blocks. So I asked again if any of the members wanted to bring in their little half-square triangles. I'd be happy to take them and sew them into mini Chevron blocks. So by the time that happened, I had a nice collection of Chevron blocks, and I started to think, instead of creating an entire quilt of Chevron blocks, it might be super cool, super contemporary looking to kind of have Chevron blocks in patterns with a lot of negative space. And then it just so happened that also some friends of mine, Bonnie and Hiba, were expecting a baby and having a baby shower, and that gave me a nice deadline to get this quilt made. And so that's basically what I did. I put up my design wall. This was the first time where I realized how important a design wall was, because I really had no idea how I wanted to arrange these chevrons. And so I put up the design wall, and I just started putting them on the wall and moving them around and arranging them and arranging them and arranging them until I finally came up with the overall design I wanted for the quilt top. And then from there it was a matter of just filling in all of the negative space with the white background fabric, which, you know, that's always a little tricky, coordinating these weird blocks, rectangles, and squares of white fabric as you put them together, and it takes a little logistics, but I figured it out, I got it done, and then I also happened to have this really cool flannel black and white chevron stripe fabric that I used for the backing. So you have chevrons on the front, and then you have chevrons on the back, and the back is flannel, so it's nice and soft, and it's black and white, which I know for babies, for the first few months or so, they respond more to black and white than to colors, so it would be a nice kind of reversible quilt. if they wanted to do that. And so that's how the quilt came together. And then for me, because of all that negative space, instead of filling it with a bunch of frilly, flowery designs, I knew the couple that I was giving this to were a little more modern and contemporary in their sensibilities and their aesthetic tastes. And so I decided to just do straight line quilting. But because I knew there was going to be a lot of change in direction with my straight lines, I still used my free motion quilting presser foot and did it all freestyle. Now I did take my Hera marker and I marked out all of the lines that I was going to do in the entire quilt. That took quite a long time, but it was well worth it. And so that way the Hera marker doesn't make any actual permanent marks on your quilt. If you haven't used one, all it does is put a crease in the fabric, which obviously then easily washes out, and you never have any residue. I've worked with some chalks that seem to have washed out until they're under fluorescent light, and then you see the mark again. So you don't have to worry about that with a Hera marker. I highly recommend using it. So I took my big old ruler and a Hera marker, and I just marked all of my lines. And basically, the idea was to extend the lines of the chevrons in the patterns that they were, and then kind of move those lines depending on how they interacted with each other. And I just kind of did that organically as I made the lines. I kind of made up the design as I went along with my Hera marker. And then once the Hera marker was done, once I was done marking the quilt, then I stuck with that design that I made on the quilt. And I think it turned out really cool. I really like this quilt. I hope it was a fun gift for them to have a homemade quilt for their new baby, their beautiful new baby, and who's not such a new baby anymore, who's growing up. And yeah, and so that's that. And so since I no longer have the quilt, this is a pretty short video. I hope you were able to see what I was talking about in the photos that I showed on here. And I hope you can join me for my next video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like it and share with your friends so that I can grow this community. And please leave comments and questions. And if it's a question that I can't answer, I'm sure I can find someone who can answer it for you. So I just want to keep growing this community of quilters and makers and crafters. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for everyone. So, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.